I've seen my good fair share of movies, but if I gotta be honest, as a film critic, well, not really, but as someone who loves watching movies, there are bound to be favorites and least favorites. And if it comes down to least favorites, then it's probably going to be the late years of the Michael Bay Transformers movies. So after Transformers Dark of the Moon became a commercial success at the box office, ranging over $1 billion, which was rightfully deserved, I think it's right that it won. It got so much money after that. But people suspected this movie to be the last of the Bayverse, right? Well, no. What we got is some of the worst in Transformers movie ever. And yeah, I need it. And since this is a review series, I gotta talk about it. So we're gonna take a look at this 11-year to almost 10-year-old shitfest known as Transformers Age of Extinction, which came out in 2014 and is once again directed by Michael Bay, but this time stars Mark Wahlberg as our main role. This movie takes place sometime after Dark of the Moon, where the Autobots have been labeled as wanted fugitives after saving the city of Chicago. Yeah, it turns out these guys are not even getting the credit for anything in this world. But now, since the Autobots are labeled as fugitives, so comes KSI and Cemetery Wind. Now, we follow Mark Wahlberg's character as he discovers an injured Optimus Prime, who just escaped from the Autobot and Decepticon to Cybertronian bounty hunter Lockdown, who was hunting him to bring him back to his quote unquote creators. So Mark Wahlberg's daughter, and Mark Wahlberg's daughter's boyfriend, who happens to be a racer who can drive, well, I didn't realize that, goes with Optimus Prime alongside with 4 other Autobots, Hound, Crosshairs, and Drift, and Bumblebee, as they try to stop shenanigans that's causing around the world in 3 hours of bullcrap. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I do not like this movie. In fact, I can go out and say I loathe it. Okay, I wouldn't say loathe it. I'm saving that for the next movie, but I really don't like this movie. And why don't I like this movie? It's just different. Now, I know you can say that just because it's different doesn't mean you really need to hate it. Look, I'm the same guy that hates Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, is what I would say if it wasn't for that kick-ass movie on Netflix. But with this movie, I get why they're trying to update and trying to make it look different, but at the same time, I would have preferred it to end on Transformers Dark of the Moon because it made such a great conclusion. But no, since the movie made over $1 billion at the box office, sequels were inevitable. So with this movie, what are my thoughts? I want to talk about the characters. Let's talk about the characters first, because that's the first thing we need to talk about. The characters. All the characters here suck. Well, excluding Mark Wahlberg. I know a lot of people really are hit or miss when it comes to Mark Wahlberg, but I like Mark Wahlberg. I especially love his appearance in the Ted movies. He was in Uncharted. He was in Four Brothers. Oh, God, what else was he in? Those are the only movies that I've seen him in. Besides these movies? Okay, okay. Getting this out of the way, Mark Wahlberg in this movie is just okay. I think he's not on par with Shia LaBeouf, but, it really does suck that Shia LaBeouf isn't in the franchise anymore. But, Mark Wahlberg does a pretty good job as our main role. His daughter, what's there to say about his daughter? There's really nothing to say about his daughter. His daughter's boyfriend is basically nothing in this movie. He doesn't do shit. TJ Miller is in this movie. I'm just going to leave it there because I am not a huge TJ Miller guy. I do not like that dude. He sucks. Stanley Tucci's in this movie. And you know what? I will admit Stanley Tucci is actually one of the more redeemable parts. I know people are really hit or miss in terms of his performance in this movie, but it's funny. I like it. I got a few laughs out of him. We got human villains, but they barely do shit. They basically talk shit about the Autobots, even though the Autobots literally saved the planet. Idiots. Now, speaking of the Autobots, we got rid of almost half the cast. And when I first saw Hound, Crosshairs, and Drift, I hated them. But I'm going to save that for later. Let's talk about Optimus Prime. Because in this movie, Optimus Prime looks very, very different. And I really, really wanted to say this, and this is sort of a hot take. Okay, but not a hot take since many people are like hit or miss. I hate this Optimus Prime design. I don't care what people say. This design looks so different and looks kind of bad. I get what they're trying to go with, the whole night goatee and the whole appearance of him looking more humanoid, but they make this design so different, so drastic. Not only that, but they make this design so impossible to make as a toy. If you really wanted the perfect Optimus Prime toy that looked like this, you had to get something like third party, like YOLO Part, or even a KO version. Fuck. I mean, the only thing that came close to it on mainline terms was the premiere edition from last night, which we're gonna get there soon. And I have the Studio Series action figure, but even I don't like the Studio Series action figure. I think it's a very overrated figure. But yeah, that's just me. I don't really like this Optimus Prime design, and I especially don't like the truck mode. I don't know what's my beef with Western Star, but I do not like Western Star trucks. I more prefer Peterbilts or Freightliners. Bumblebee is once again in this movie, and he seems to be looking more like a ninja. But what sucks is that Bumblebee doesn't really do much in this movie because, he doesn't. He's not with Sam, and he's not this guardian anymore. He's more different, and I like this Bumblebee design, but whenever I think about Bumblebee, I more think of something like G1 or 2007. The 2014 design is just a forgettable design in my opinion. Now, as for Crosshair's Drift and Hound, Hound is good. I mean, he's okay. He's played by John Goodman, and I know a lot of people really hate Hound in these movies. I kind of like him. I like how he's more of a gun-ho commander, but I think it's very, very disappointing that they mischaracterized him later on in the Transformers world as his gun-ho commander when he's just this genuine lover of Earth. And I just think it would have been better if this version of Hound was a live-action version of Bulkhead. Drift is played by Ken Watanabe, and who's designed to look like a samurai and could be a very, very racial stereotype. I mean, sure, but these are robots. How bad can they possibly? Oh yeah, that's right, Skids and Mudflap. And then we have Crosshairs, and Crosshairs, yeah, I mean, I don't like Crosshairs. Crosshairs is freaking annoying. He's just a fucking, you know what? Fuck Crosshairs. But then what about our main villains? Now, I said villains. Basically, they do nothing in this movie. Lockdown is just there for ore form. Galvatron was disappointingly underutilized in this movie. It was terrible. Like, god damn it. They fucked up so bad with Galvatron. And even Stinger could have been a much interesting villain, but they do shit. They barely do shit. Now, I know I said that due to how these designs are very expensive, we don't see them as much, which is why we get more of Humans and Transformers. But it does suck to see when people were literally hyping this up. And now we do have the Dinobots, and the Dinobots are actually one of the more interesting parts, except they also do nothing in this movie. Like, sure, they have sick-ass designs. I'm not going to take that away. These designs are actually fucking amazing. But they do nothing in this movie besides being these plot armors and weapons. And it just sucks. Because these Dinobots are supposed to be the strongest Cybertronians, and they rightfully are. But they just do nothing in this movie to further prove that, rather than just be walking tanks. And that also sucks. Now, I've been pretty much bashing this movie. Is there anything that's also quite redeemable about this movie? Well, the only thing that's actually kind of really redeemable about this movie is the score. Steve Jablonsky returns to do the score, and I'm pretty sure, and I actually enjoy this. like Steve Jablonsky does an amazing job with the movies, and his score really just fits the vibe of this movie. I especially love that one musical, like that one score when the Autobots reunite in the desert. That's a very, very sweet and emotional theme, because when we really think about it, the Autobots are like a huge family. That's what they are. They're like brothers and sisters in arms. I especially love that, and I love how Hound is so excited to see Optimus Prime again. It feels very genuine when you realize these Autobots has been separated for nearly almost years to even weeks now. It feels very genuine. I especially love the punch right left repeat score where like Crosshairs is telling Mark Wahlberg's character and Mark Wahlberg's girlfriend's driver how to shoot Decepticon firearms. I like that. But unfortunately, Linkin Park doesn't come back to promote any official song. You have Imagine Dragons doing Battle Cry, which I think is a really fun and really cool song. Go check it out. But yeah, you can really tell that I don't like this movie. Now look, there is a very good explanation why this movie really just doesn't work in terms of making it a continuation, because it really has dull characters, not so good CGI. The Transformers are barely doing shit in this movie, and it just ends up being a 3 hour mess. This movie is 3 hours. Now, it's not as bad as watching Zack Snyder's Justice League, but it still sucks to know that this movie is 3 hours long and we could have expected a lot much more. And I'm not like, I just wish that we got a lot much more. But this movie did make over $1 billion at the box office, which, I mean, it kind of deserves that. Let's be honest. But there really isn't that much on my end to talk about Transformers Age of Extinction. Like, when I really think about it, this is clearly a stepping stone for a new generation and for me to be done with my generation. That's pretty much what Transformers is about. Moving from an old generation to the new generation. Take a look at G1 and Beast Wars, for example. But it really does suck that as a continuation to what I would call the greatest trilogy of all time, and I will stand by that, it does suck to see the franchise go from highs to lows. So at the end of the day, I'll give Transformers Age of Extinction a 3 out of 10. This is a very dull movie in my opinion, and I wouldn't really go back to watching this movie anytime soon. So that's my review on Transformers Age of Extinction. Definitely not one of my favorite movies, and definitely not one of the best in Transformers movie history. Now we're going to move on to a movie that I despise the most. A movie that I hate so badly that I was ashamed to like this movie when it came out nearly almost 10 years ago. So we're going to take a look at what I call the worst Transformers movies, and it's not Rise of the Beast, because I actually love Rise of the Beast, and I will talk about that when we get there. Transformers: The Last Knight. Oh my god. I gotta go. But yeah, this is Quirk Dude 76 signing off.